G'day and welcome to this episode of My Lean Business Coach, the podcast. So today's topic is going to be around the Uber argument. Now, it has been quite a while since my last blog. Apologies for that. It's been a very, very busy first quarter of the year on all fronts. Now, I wrote this post from Adelaide Airport, waiting for a flight home from being away in Perth and Adelaide, carrying out some ISO 9001 quality audits. Very exciting stuff. Now, during the week, I've had to get to and from the airports, hotels, and workplaces a total of 8 trips. Now, I've always used a local taxi company for these sort of trips, but recently my son has convinced me to give Uber a try. In his words, you'll never use a taxi again. So I thought this week would be a great week to compare the two services and make a determination of which provides the better service and value for money. So I took a total of 8 trips this week, 4 in taxis and 4 with Uber. First, let me talk about the taxi rides. So the first trip was I took a taxi from Perth Airport to work. This was a 20-minute journey and quite a simple journey. The car was reasonably clean and the journey uneventful with a reasonable and comparative cost when comparing to previous trips of the same nature. The second taxi journey, I picked up a taxi outside the hotel the next morning. This was convenient and there was a line of taxis outside the Crown at 7:30 in the morning. This car was pretty dirty inside and out, including the boot, and the driver didn't really know his way around Perth. He consistently made late lane changes to make a turn. When I arrived at work, I gave him my credit card to pay, only to find out his machine was not working. This meant I had to run into the workplace I was visiting to organise payment by other means to pay for the taxi ride, because I rarely carry cash on me anymore. And the third trip, I took a taxi from my hotel in Adelaide to my workplace the next day. This was a very nice and clean car, a good journey with a very good driver. I didn't realise though that I had stepped into a premium taxi. I was just sitting outside my hotel, a taxi came along, I jumped in it, and it happened to be a premium taxi. Without knowing up front, this journey cost me about 15% extra over a standard taxi. I'm not even sure if this is a legal practice, to be honest. Finally, I took a taxi from my Adelaide hotel to the airport to go home. This taxi was reasonable inside, however the boot was very dirty and it actually dirtied my luggage. The trip was okay and the driver was a nice guy. So now to my Uber experiences. On the first day I actually called for a taxi from the office to my hotel, only to be told there was a 20-minute wait. So I decided to heed my son's suggestion and open the Uber app on my phone. And very quickly I found it would be less than 5 minutes to wait for an Uber. So I booked it, the driver arrived on time. A great feature of the app is that you're able to track the car via GPS on the application. The car was spotless inside and out. The driver was very professionally dressed in a suit. And the next day I booked an Uber to travel from work to the airport, the first of my comparable journeys, so I could assess the pricing of both. Now again, the driver was about 3 minutes away, and the vehicle was spotless, the driver well presented and professional. Interestingly, the reverse journey back to the airport was around 40% cheaper than the taxi ride the earlier day. Now the third journey on Uber was from Adelaide Airport to my hotel. I found the airport pickup a little clumsy compared to a taxi. There's always a line of taxis at every airport. You simply get in line and a taxi picks you up and away you go. With the Uber, I had to stand at the general pickup area and look out for a car and a person that I wasn't familiar with and catch their attention before they drove past. I ended up calling and messaging them via the app, which is a useful little part of the application. You can do that. But the journey provided another price comparison, with a taxi this time being the cheaper option by around 30%. And the fourth journey was from work to the hotel in Adelaide. Again, the Uber arrived in less than 5 minutes and again was spotless inside and out. This journey in peak hour was around 50% less than the earlier premium taxi in the reverse direction, but maybe a bit of an unfair comparison being it was a premium taxi. So there we have it, 8 trips, 4 taxis and 4 Uber. What was my verdict? Well, before I get to the verdict, let's just take a quick look at some of the strengths and weaknesses of both. I'll do this by looking at some categories. The first category is customer service. Now, of course, I'll start with customer service, my favourite business indicator. By far, the Uber experience was superior to that of the taxis. With the notable exception of the premium taxi. The Uber experience was simply better on all fronts, easier to book, and they're on time, cleaner vehicles by far, both inside and out, and the drivers dressed and performed more professionally. So the cost. This was an interesting category. There were three opportunities for price comparisons with Uber coming out cheaper on two of those occasions. Overall, over the three comparison journeys, Uber was a total of $40 cheaper. Not a bad cost benefit considering it was a slightly better customer service. So the next one category is ease of use. In this category, I'm looking a bit deeper into one of the customer service aspects. Now, if you're at a location where taxis wait for customers, i.e. an airport, a popular hotel or another sort of popular place, then a taxi is probably an easier choice. I would say from an airport, then a taxi is far easier. So now to the verdict. I think there's a place for both services. Taxis have a convenience factor, and Uber provides us a better user experience and can be better value for money. And right across Australia, the taxi industry is fighting against Uber, but they are fighting a bad fight. Rather than go on strike, hold traffic stoppages on major routes and protesting why they don't wash their and protesting, my question to them and my challenge to them is go out and wash your cars, vacuum them out, put on a nice suit or some nice clothes, have a shower, and provide the same level of service that Uber does. If they did this 5 years ago, Uber wouldn't have had the same opportunities and competitive advantages that they did on its entry. If they go and do it now, they can limit their losses. If they don't change anything and continue with the arguments that they currently are going through, they may slowly become obsolete. So there you have it, my Uber argument. So hopefully my next podcast won't be in such a delayed time frame, but I hope you enjoyed this one here today. Whatever you do, keep on keeping lean, and I'll speak to you again. Cheers.